Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to connect our all the views inside the main activity. So let's start this lecture by simply opening the Android Studio. So first we need to click on this and I'm just simply expand it to find out our, now I'm just simply close all these values file and I'm going to click on this Java directory. Then it's the first package and simply click on this main activity. We need to create bunch of variables. So let's start doing one by one. So we are going to create a private variable and we have used a horizontal scroll view. So this is our horizontal scroll view and I'm going to name it as scroll view and semicolon. Then we need to initialize this scroll view inside the onCreate method. So I'm going to write a one comment and I will be writing here a one statement. Initialize the scroll view. Then simply type scroll view equals to find viewer id and we have r dot id dot. So we have not specified an id to scroll view. So I'm going to specify quickly the id for the scroll view. So this is our scroll view. I'm going to specify id and I'm going to type it here scroll view and simply copy this id inside the main activity. I'm going to paste the id, then from here semicolon. So we need to initialize all of our views inside the onCreate method because the onCreate method is the first method when you launch your activity screen. Means when activity is in a creating phase, then onCreate method is executed first. There are a bunch of methods of activity lifecycle that are come under the category of activity lifecycle like on, resume, on, start. But for better coding, we need to always initialize our views inside the onCreate method. Now it's time to initialize all these buttons one by one. Means we need to initialize all these buttons code inside our main activity. But for doing that, we need to create variables. So let's start doing one by one. Simply type private and here you need to write button. This is a capital button and this is the fourth one button and I'm going to name it as button and it will be of C3 because we have C3 and semicolon. Then again I'm going to specify a button, that is private button. Then again I'm going to write a button and it will be of button C3, that is black. And what will be this black means, I'm going to click on this activity main.xml and the preview window, simply just make it into landscape and here you can say, so this is our C3 black button and this is our D3 black button. Now E3, in between the intersection of E3 and F3 there is no button, but I'm going to name it as C3 D3. Just simply zoom it a little bit. I'm going to treating this black button as a C3 black button and this one is of D3 black button, so that things will become easy for us to develop. And also remember the names of the button because there are a bunch of buttons and it creates a lot of confusion because what is black button, because in black button there is no label, so that's why I'm denoting it with the C3 black. So again I'm going to main activity and it's time to type other buttons as well. So button and again there's a button and this is a, now this time we have D3 semicolon. Similarly when you type button private and there is button and then we need to type another type button and this time we have a D3 not get button, simply type button and here we need to specify D3 black. Then there is a button called E3 button and then another there is a button and this will be of E3. Notice for E3 there is no black button key because in preview we have already seen there is no black button key, so that's why For E3 we have no black button, but for F3 and G3 and A3 we have. Simply type another button, then there is another button, and in this time there is a E3, and after E3 we have E3, then we have F3, and then we have G3. So here I am typing a capital F3, and I am going to button. So you need to again hard code this thing, guys, because there is no shortcut for that, because we have already bunch of keys in our piano application. Then again type private button, and this time we have G3 semicolon. You can quickly type it for button, then we have G3, and then we have black. And again I'm going to type private button, then another we have button, and this time we have after G3 we have A3, then semicolon. Again I'm going to type private button and A3 capital, then I'm going to type button, then we have another private button, and this time we have a last button, that is button B3. Now so we have completed the first pair, which is started from C3 to B3. Now similarly you need to complete this pair, that is around from 35, means we have all 25 black keys, and also we have 35 pink piano keys. So similarly you need to create all the variables. So I'm going to do that, and just fast forward into the video so that you don't need to watch the boring stuff, because it's a boring thing. So just simply I'm doing it quickly for you. So I'm just simply going to do with the copy and paste, just changing the values at the end. So I'm going to paste it one more time, so there are lots of red lines. Then I'm going to simply change it to C4, and here again I'm going to C4. So I'm going to do this quickly, just I show you the one how you can quickly do this thing. So finally here you can see that I have defined, means declare all the button variables. Now it's time to initialize all these variables inside the onCreate method. But I'm not going to initialize inside the onCreate method, because there are 60 buttons, and it will actually overcode the my onCreate method. Means my onCreate method will become overcoded. Means I want to say it will become difficult to manage the code. So I'm going to use a method, a modular approach, which will help us to make the code more clean. So I'm going to write void initialize all piano buttons. So I'm going to name my method as initialize all piano keys. So I'm going to type button. So I'm just going to start with the C3 note, just in the order in which I have placed inside the. Then I'm going to call find by id method dot id dot, and the id of the button is C3. Note is not C3, it's P1, because the first button id is P1. So I'm going to simply can see that the id of first button is this one is P1. This is the text to this, but this is our button. So the id of this button is P1. So similarly we need to initialize all the buttons, but here we need to also typecast it into the button so that we can't get any error. Although it is saying button is redundant, but still in some cases application may be crashed if we not typecast it. But maybe if you don't specify it, your application will run. But for avoiding any kinds of error, we need to at least typecast it, because we just need to add this only a small block of code. So similarly we need to initialize our next button, that is button C3 black. then simply equals to button, I'm going to typecast it, and we're going to type find view by id r dot id dot, and the id of this button is b1 because that is a black key 1. Now hold your control key and go to this b1, and when you click on it, you will simply jump into the XML file, that is this one. So this is our black piano key that has id b1, that is this one. So again we need to code the rest of the buttons. So I'm going to type button, then from C3 we have D3, button D3, and again is equals to button, then find view by id r dot id dot, then we have p2. That's why I name the id in a simplest way, so that it will not create any burden, means difficulty while typing the id name. Then here is D3 black, button, and then we need to again type find view by id r dot id dot, and there is a b2. Then again with this approach we need to call it, but I'm going to copy and paste so that it will become easy for me. Then here I need to change into from D3 to, then we have what, I just simply check it out, simply D3, then we have E3 F3, then we have D3 F3 F. So I'm going to change it into capital F, then capital F. Then we have a simple button that doesn't have F3, then we have E3. So E3 doesn't have a black key, so the another one that the E3 doesn't have a black key, so then there we have G3 and then A3. Then I'm going to specify, so here I'm going to specify G3, and again here G3, and again I'm going to copy the code for one more time for A3, not S3, it's A3, and then simply copy this line of code and change it to E3, and simply change it to copy and paste it one more time and change it to B3. Also you need to change the ID as well. Now E3 button has a ID P3, you need to remember it. So I'm going to place it in a series of sequence. So after B2 I have a button that has of C series P3. Now B3 has a series of, then after F3, because you can see that in the E3 button has P3 ID, and then F3 has P4 ID. So that's why I'm placing the E3 here. So F3 has P4 ID. Then this one had B3 because the black key 3, and the another one that is G3 black is have ID around maybe 4, and this one has P5, and we have A3. So simply switch back to and again design editor, and A3 has the ID P6, and then A3 black has the ID B5, and then button B3 has the ID B7. So I'm going to call this method, we'll simply copy and going to the top of the onCreate, that is this one, and here I'm going to specify semicolon. Now I'm going to run this application in our virtual emulator. At this point of time, you don't get any message because we have simply initialized the code. Now the next step is just simply I'm going to copy and paste, but before copy and pasting, I'm just going to build it once so that it will become clear whether the code is working fine or not. Simply click on this run button, select your emulator and hit OK. So here you can see that our application is up and running. So right now we don't get any error. If we get an error, the application may be crashed, but we don't get any error. So that means the code is fine. So the next step is we need to copy and paste this code and just simply changing the C3 to C4, C3 to C4, then again for the next pair changing the C4 to D4. So this is, you need to apply, this is a repetitive process, so I'm going to do that, and then again I'm going to continue the video so that you don't need to see the boring stuff. One more thing guys, you need to take care of the IDs. That is, if you are targeting C4, then before changing the ID, make sure you have actually checked the C4 key. So how you can check? You just need to scroll down and here you need to see BID and what is the button, the C4. So you need to remember the ID names. It will take time because there are a bunch of keys, so don't need to worry about whether you are consuming time, because at least you are going to create a very good application. So that's I want to give the suggestion. So take care while giving the ID. If you misplace the IDs, then maybe you will not get an error, but at the end when you try to playing the node, then you will get a different kinds of sound, which will actually a bug in your application. So be careful while changing the IDs. So I'm again going to fast forward the video and then simply continue the video so that you don't need to watch the boring stuff. So finally guys, I have did all the coding of the buttons that I have initialized all the code. So now it's time to run the application to see whether it gives an error or it runs successfully. It took me around 5 to 6 minutes. So simply hit OK and see what's the output. So you can see that it doesn't give any error and it's run fine. So it means I have initialized all the application buttons successfully. So in next lecture I'm going to initialize the text views and creating the variables that is our label, that is actually a text view. So that's all about this lecture guys. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you.